Welcome to our channel where we bring you the latest news, reviews, and commentary on everything motorcycle, and today we've got a very special video for you guys. It's the first episode of our all-new series called The Know Before You Buy. In this series, we take some of the most popular motorcycles out there and break them down with everything you need to know before you go ahead and drop your hard-earned cash. Because buying a bike is a huge deal. It's probably one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make. So we want to make sure you're making that purchase with all the knowledge you can get. So in today's episode, we are going to be breaking down the ins and outs of each sport bike on the market. We'll be covering the positives and negatives, what they do well and what they don't. And if time allows, we may even touch on some upgrades and modifications you might want to consider, depending on what you plan to do with the bike. Now, the format we're going for here is to keep these videos nice and concise, around 10 to 15 minutes long. So they're not a huge time investment for you guys. But if you do have any questions or concerns or just want to share some feedback, please leave them down below in the comments section. We want to hear from you guys. This is for you after all, and trust me, there's no question that's stupid. We've heard it all, and even if we haven't, we're pretty sure somebody watching also wants to know the same thing. So go ahead and let us know. Alright guys, now let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this thing. Let's start off with the Kawasaki Ninja 400. The Ninja 400 is an incredibly popular bike, especially amongst beginner riders, and that's for good reason. Not only does it have one of the lowest price tags on this list, coming in at $5,700 USD, but it has also got one of the best power-to-weight ratios. Thanks to its parallel twin motor that makes 49 horsepower and weighs just 373 pounds. That's only slightly heavier than the R3 by the way, which has less power. In terms of performance, the Ninja 400 does a fantastic job getting you up and rolling through the twisties. It's light, it's nimble, it's quick. It pulls hard in the mid-range and it stops safely thanks to its dual front calipers. One thing that a lot of people like about the 400 is that it is very predictable. It's not gone, surprise you when it reaches its power peak, or how it is gone, react, in corner entry, or how far you can push it before it loses grip. It's a very safe learning tool. Now on the other side of things though, it's not to say that the 400 is perfect, because it isn't. One complaint that a lot of riders have is that it's kind of boring up near the top end. Once you get past 10,000 RPM, it starts to feel a bit flat. Now it doesn't really make much of a difference for street riding since you often find yourself in that upper RPM range, but it would be nice to have just a little bit more top-end power for those times that you want to open it up on the highway or maybe carry a passenger. The next big complaint you hear about the Ninja 400 is in regards to its suspension. It's not anything major and it's something that you should expect from a beginner bike, but it is worth mentioning nonetheless. It's nothing more than the fact that the suspension is a bit soft and you'll likely need to upgrade at some point if you plan on taking this bike to the track or carrying a passenger regularly. Now speaking of passengers, one last gripe people have with the 400 is the lack of a comfortable riding position for a pillion. It's not impossible to ride two up, but it's definitely not the most comfortable setup. If you're re-looking at the Ninja 400 because you're a beginner rider or just someone who wants something fun and affordable, then we say, go for it. But if you're expecting it to grow with you as a rider, you might want to consider something else. Next up on the list is the Yamaha R3. The R3 is widely regarded as one of the best sport bikes for beginners. Its 689cc parallel twin engine makes a claimed 42 horsepower and weighs in at 368 pounds. What you have here is an incredibly lightweight and easy-to-manage platform that is designed specifically for new riders. In terms of performance, the R3 is about what you would expect from a 400 class bike. It's not going to blow your doors off, but it will put a smile on your face. It accelerates fairly well, gets up on the pipe nicely, and has plenty of mid-range torque to keep you out of trouble. Braking performance is also solid thanks to its single front disc and for piston caliber, but you definitely wouldn't be surprised if you saw ABS here. But despite its simplicity, the R3 still offers a surprisingly comfortable riding position, good ergonomics, and a relatively smooth power delivery. However, as great as this bike is, it does come with a few shortcomings. First and foremost, the R3 lacks a lot of features that you'd find on other bikes at its price point. It has an analog gauge cluster, a non-adjustable suspension, non-quick action throttle, and a basic steel frame. It also has a rather tall first gear which makes for jerky acceleration off idle. Although many riders argue that this helps prevent wheelies, it still can be a bit annoying at times. The last thing we'll mention is the seat height, which comes in at a lofty 32.7 inches. If you're on the shorter side, this could pose a problem. Now with all that said, the R3 is still a fantastic bike for what it is. And for a price tag of $5,999, you're getting a ton of value for your money. However, if you're looking for something a bit more feature-rich, you might want to check out the rest of the bikes on this list. Now we're moving on to the KTM RC 390. The RC 390 has been turning heads ever since it was released, and for good reason. It's one of the most aggressive-looking bikes on the market, but it's also one of the most fun to ride. With a 373cc, single-cylinder engine that makes 43 horsepower, it's about what you would expect from a bike in this class. However, where the RC 390 shines is in its chassis. It's incredibly nimble, light, and easy to maneuver, which makes it perfect for both new and experienced riders. As you probably guessed, the RC 390 does very well in the twisties. It attacks corners like a hungry wolf and begs to be ridden hard. It's also got excellent stopping power thanks to its single floating disc and four-piston capper. However, it's not without its shortcomings. One of the biggest complaints about the RC 390 is the lack of power. It's not necessarily slow, but it's definitely not fast either. For a bike that weighs less than 400 pounds, 43 horsepower doesn't sound like much, but it's actually pretty decent. It's just that when you hear other bikes making close to double that power, it makes this one seem a bit underwhelming. Another complaint you hear about the RC 390 is in regards to its suspension. It's not bad by any means, but it's definitely not top of the line either. You'll likely want to upgrade at some point if you plan on doing any serious track work. Last but not least, we have the Honda CBR 500R. The CBR 500R is the oldest bike on this list, having been released back in 2013, but do not let that fool you. It's still one of the best sport bikes on the market. Powered by a 471cc parallel twin engine, it makes a claimed 48 horsepower and weighs in at 397 pounds. It's a bike that's been designed with both new and experienced riders in mind. In terms of performance, the CBR 500R falls right in the middle of the pack. It's not the fastest or the slowest, but it's definitely a good balance between the two. It gets up on the pipe nicely and has plenty of mid-range torque to keep you out of trouble. Braking performance is also solid thanks to its single front disc and four-piston caliper. One thing that really sets the CBR 500R apart from the rest is its suspension. It's not only fully adjustable, but it's also top-notch quality. If you plan on doing any serious track work, this is definitely the bike for you. Another thing we like about the CBR 500R is its riding position. It's sporty, but not too aggressive. It's perfect for both new and experienced riders. However, the CBR 500 is not without its shortcomings. One of the biggest complaints you hear about this bike is its lack of power. Now, it's not necessarily slow, but it's definitely not fast either. For a bike that weighs almost 400 pounds, 48 horsepower doesn't sound like much. Another complaint you hear about the CBR 500R is its fuel economy. It's not terrible by any means, but it's definitely not great either. Most riders report getting around 45 miles per gallon, which isn't bad, but it's not good. Despite its shortcomings, the CBR 500R is still a fantastic bike for what it is. And with a price tag of $6,399, it's a great value for your money. Alright guys, so that wraps up our first episode of the Know Before You Buy series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and learned a thing or two. Make sure you leave us some feedback down in the comments section and let us know what you think.